Hello, my name is Jordan Haynes, and I'm here to talk to you about the rising levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and what this means for Earth's future. According to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA as we all know it, the past 650 years, carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere have never been this high. Since 1950, carbon dioxide levels have escalated at an alarming rate, nearly 400 parts per million carbon dioxide to air. Before the 1950s, these levels remained below 300 parts per million for all recorded and observational history predating the 50s. Our future is inevitable. However, the changes occurring now and in the future are significant and could potentially be life-altering. We're all familiar with the term global warming, but how familiar are we with the term climate change? Now I'll explain these climate changes are relevant and how this affects it may have on the environment in the future, as well as how these effects are measured and recorded. First, we'll talk about why the climate is changing in carbon dioxide and how it affects the changing temperatures. According to NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, the levels of carbon dioxide found in the atmosphere are higher than they've ever been before. These high levels of carbon dioxide can lead to deterioration of our atmosphere due to the greenhouse effect. When carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere, it creates a shield in our ozone layer, where heat can enter but cannot escape, causing a rising temperature and other environmental effects. This greenhouse effect and high presence of carbon dioxide has led to a rapid increase in average temperatures worldwide since the 1970s. This greenhouse effect has meant that between 2001 and 2012, it was the warmest decade to ever be recorded, according to the National Climatic Data Center. Now let's move on to how this data can be collected and analyzed. There's plenty of historical and archaeological data that has been collected and recorded in the form of proxies and paleoclimatology. Paleoclimatologists are scientists who study and gather information found in nature regarding climate shifts. They evaluate tree rings or ice cores to determine the conditions of a certain time period. Paleoclimatologists are able to analyze these samples of ice cores or other natural materials and evaluate the carbon dioxide content of the atmosphere. This is possible because different levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere produce different atmospheric conditions, which in turn produce a pattern in tree rings or ice cores. For example, during a certain year, if the atmosphere was healthy, a cut tree might display even width rings, whereas in years with increased carbon dioxide in the atmosphere or an unhealthier atmosphere, trees might produce rings with a smaller width between them. Paleoclimatologists can analyze the difference in the width of these rings and the trees and make observations and draw conclusions about how the climate was that year in that area. Now we can talk about how these changes in carbon dioxide levels will affect the years to come on Earth. With increased carbon dioxide levels and the greenhouse effect, temperatures will continue to rise in the future. Because of trapped carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, the world is changing at an alarming rate. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, as soon as year 2100, we will see a significant alteration in current weather patterns. By this year, 21,000, the average temperature on Earth will have increased by 4 to 11 degrees. And with the continuation of the rising levels of carbon dioxide, it will also lead to rising sea levels, an increase in the average temperatures, and an influence and a significant change in normal weather patterns. These changing patterns have the potential to alter life on Earth as we know it today if we turn a blind eye to this evidence and the impact it will have on our future. In conclusion, I will wrap up this speech by leaving with a few important bits of information. The future is inevitable. However, the changes occurring now and in the future are significant and can potentially be life-altering. With increasing levels of carbon dioxide, our world will change. Today I've discussed the cause of climate change, the evidence supporting it through paleoclimatology, and the impact it can have on Earth in the future. Now I would like to leave you with these words from the Environmental Protection Agency. Begin quote. These changes will impact our food supply, water resources, infrastructure, ecosystems, and even our own health. End quote. Thank you.